about to nail someone. Yeah, your buddy Bobby Knight. Oh, Christ, he hadn't forgotten. Now I was nervous and stumbling again. Coach, we don't exactly speak too often, I said. Now he was laughing. Yeah, no kidding. Don't worry about it. He hates a lot of people. He loves you, though. I had spent a good deal of time with Knight listening to him talk about Auerbach's genius and his generosity. He puffed on the cigar. That's just 'cause I never wrote anything about him. Now I was laughing, too. We spent the next few minutes talking about the upcoming tournament, how overrated he thought #1 ranked Duke was. He was proven correct by Connecticut in the championship game, and what I had been working on recently. By the time they came to take him to the set, I was hoping the show might be delayed for another hour. He smoked the cigar the whole time he was on the air. Naturally, no one dared to tell him there was no smoking in the building. When it was my turn to go in, Red paused on his way out. "It was good to see you," he said. "Keep up the good work." The wicked grin returned. "I'll tell your buddy you said hello." Knowing Red, he probably did just that. A couple of days later, I called Jack Cavance, the athletic director at George Washington. Cavance and I have been friends since his days as the basketball coach at Catholic University in the early 1980s. In fact, we were sitting in a bar together in Northeast Washington on the night of December 8, 1980, toasting Catholic's amazing triple overtime victory over St. Joseph's team that would reach the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament the following March, when I noticed John Lennon's face on the TV screen behind the bar. A few seconds earlier, the Monday Night Football game had been on the same screen. Baffled, Jack and I walked up to the bar just in time to hear Howard Cosell report that John Lennon had been shot and killed outside his New York apartment that evening. Jack got out of coaching a few years later. He became the AD at George Mason, and then in 1994 got the job at George Washington. When I would go to GW games, it was impossible not to notice Red, the most famous GW grad of them all, class of 1940, sitting 10 rows up from the floor. "He never misses a game," Cavance told me one night when I asked how often Red came, afraid, of course, to approach him myself because of what Shaughnessy had told me, to see his old school play. Getting to really know him has been one of the great perks of this job. "You spend time with him?" "I go to lunch with him every Tuesday, not just me, a group of guys. Morgan Wooten, the legendary DeMatha High School coach, goes most weeks. Sam Jones, the legendary Celtic, goes. Some of Red's buddies from Woodmont. It's a whole crew. He sits there and tells stories the whole time. It's unbelievable." "He still remembers stuff?" "Remembers stuff? Are you kidding? He remembers everything." Driving home from the TV show, I remembered what Jack had said about the Tuesday lunches. At the time, I was writing a column for the Washington Post Sunday magazine. If, in fact, Red didn't think I was an asshole, maybe he would allow me to sit in on one of the lunches and write a column about it. If nothing else, I was certain it would be fun to listen to him. So I called Jack. I told him what had happened at the TV show Saturday night. "What about lunch?" I wondered. "I don't know," he said. "I can ask him, but that lunch is a pretty closed society." Just as I was about to write off the idea, Jack added a thought. "You know, if Morgan were to ask him, I bet he'd say yes. Me, he might say no to, not Morgan." I called Wooten, a longtime friend dating to my early days at the Post when I had covered high school ball. "I'd be delighted to ask," Wooten said. "The worst thing he can do is say no. I'll ask him at lunch tomorrow." I was actually nervous about this now. If Red said no, it would make me think that our entire conversation Saturday night, which had felt so warm and real to me, had just been him being courteous and nothing more. "Don't push it," I said to Morgan. "If he seems uncomfortable at all, let it go." "Don't worry," Morgan said. "Nobody pushes Red." The next night he called back. "You're on," he said. "Be at the China Doll at 11 o'clock next Tuesday." 11 o'clock, I said. "I thought this was lunch." "It is," Morgan said. "Red starts ordering at about 11:05. Don't be late. Oh, and one more thing. Whatever you do, don't try to pay for yourself or pick up the check. That's the one way to guarantee you'll never be invited back again." I wasn't planning on being invited back again, but I made a mental note of Morgan's warning anyway. The China Doll is on H Street in northwest Washington between 6th and 7th Streets. It's in the heart of Washington's Chinatown, a 2-block stretch that must have a dozen Chinese restaurants on it. I had eaten at the China Doll a couple of times before games since the MCI Center 2 blocks away had opened late in 1997. I walked in on the stroke of 11, not wanting to be early and appear too eager, certainly not wanting to be late. The restaurant was dimly lit with what appeared to be a bakery counter to the right of the door, then a small bar. There were a few tables along the wall to the left, and then, at the end of the bar, the room widened out. Directly behind the bar was a round table. It was the only one that was occupied at that hour, a dozen men seated around it. There were, I was pleased to see, 5 familiar faces: Red, Morgan, who sat on Red's left, Jack, who sat next to Morgan, and Tom Penders and Joe McCune, the men's and women's basketball coaches at GW. I remember Jack telling me that Red always invited the GW basketball people to come to lunch when they were free. The chair on the other side of Red was empty. "Here, kids, sit down," Red said, indicating the chair. The